been a lot of talk about a two-state solution with the Palestinians, and recent polls show that it's still supported by a slim majority on both sides. Conversely, the idea of a one-state solution is gaining popularity. Now there is a new, innovative idea to reach a one-state solution based on a federated state. Joining us now from our Tel Aviv studio is Emanuel Shahaf, the founder of the Federation Movement. Emanuel, thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon, Ari.
Well, Emanuel, tell us more about this idea and how is this a realistic alternative approach?
Well, I think it's the most realistic alternative today. First of all, because it requires the least motion by anybody. Nobody has to move anywhere. Everything stays in place. We're just moving towards a more modern form of governance. We are talking basically about extending Israeli law over the West Bank and installing a federal government in the whole of Israel.
Well, how would this federation, after giving the Palestinians full citizenship, not turn Israel, the Jewish state, into a binational state? Or is this the end of the Zionist dream?
I think we should get away from identity politics. I think what modern nations and states try to do, they try to provide all their citizens, no matter what their background and identities are, with a safe and economically good surrounding, and so everybody can feel comfortable, and that's what we have to do. Every nationality, every identity should feel comfortable, whoever they are, and that's what modern states do now.
Well, Emanuel, how do you deal with the Palestinian demands for the so-called right of return by refugees?
Well, of course there will not be a right of return. That has to be clear from the outset. We're talking about a state of Israel. Basically, we're making the state just bigger in terms of territory and extending citizenship to everybody who lives there and who is interested in citizenship. That is really the only change we do. And of course, splitting up the country into 30 semi-autonomous regions where everybody can feel as comfortable as possible.
Well, how receptive has this idea been with any of your Palestinian colleagues? I'm not aware of any proposal of Jewish settlers remaining being accepted by any Palestinians.
Well, as you mentioned, our settlers will stay in place. What I have gathered from the Palestinians is that their main concern is really getting rights, civil rights, full civil rights, and their economic well-being more than anything else. It's much more important to them there than expressing their national identity. And I was surprised because I even talked to people high up in the PA, who used to be in the PA, and they were also quite easily willing to relinquish the state, their Palestinian state, as long as they get equal rights.
Emanuel, you were a former member of Israel's intelligence community. How did you get around to this federation idea?
Well, actually, I started looking about 3 years ago. I'm a political activist in the Labour Party, and about 3 years ago, I started to realize that the two-state solution is not going anywhere, and that we have to look for alternative solutions. And came along a good friend of mine, Aryeh Hess from Jerusalem, political activist, and he'd been working on the federation for quite a long time. And we got together, and now for the last 2 years, we've been really pushing it, and we're now going public, trying to gather as many supporters as possible. And looking from the polls you just talked about, we're already starting with 20% support in Israel and 34% in the Palestinian Authority. So it's not a bad thing to start with without even having launched.
So your idea calls for Israel's borders to be extended to the West Bank and encompass the 2.5 million Palestinians there. But you conveniently leave out the 1.7 million Gazans. What do you expect them to do? Just wash out to the sea?
No, first of all, it's not conveniently left out. It's out because that's the situation today. Gaza is actually functioning as an independent state today, and it has to be dealt with. But it can't be incorporated into this arrangement because the Jewish state will not relinquish a majority over its sovereignty. So we have to take it as it is. And as the situation is right now, I think even the Palestinians have a problem getting together with Gaza, so let's leave it as it is.
Are there any international bodies which expressed any kind of interest in this idea?
Well, what is clear is, and I've been talking to the international community, that they will accept anything that we agree with the Palestinians. Okay, the fact that the international community is pushing the two-state solution is only because that is what the Palestinian Authority and us, supposedly also the government of Israel are pushing. But once we get our act together on something different, on an alternative solution like the federation, foreign support will certainly be forthcoming, because obviously we're talking about a solution which follows international law and gives everybody equal rights.
Well, Emanuel Shahaf, the founder of the Federation Movement, good luck and thank you for coming on the IBA.